Okay, I hope everyone is ready to go over this freaking Stranger Things book because we got a lot to go over. Well, not really a lot. I didn't go over every page. And basically what I want to do is just show you um the the things that caught my eye as far as like storytelling goes, like literal storytelling. And I don't think you can see it, but on my whiteboard I have the Fargo quote, "This is a true story. This is a true story. This is an official story according to the Stranger Things book." And I think people really need to sit with that because um, what I had been analyzing for the past, like, I don't know, 6 7 months now is consistent, like, we're telling a story, but there's a pattern of war games going on. Like, why are these events happening when in 1979 when the lab massacre happens? Why why is that coordinated with the 7 days to the River Rhine, which was a Polish Soviet exercise? And there's a lot of little like it's just bizarre. So then I started thinking this has to be because season 5 was so, I don't want to say up its own ass, but like it basically just took all the elements from the previous seasons and shoved them into season 5 where like an Ouroboros basically, you know, which is essentially what AI is. It's can't create anything new. It only steals information, right? So I, for the past 6 or 7 months, all I've been thinking about is how this has to be some kind of like AI, rogue AI. It has to be related to it. Like this has to be some kind of weird Marvel or DC adjacent property. And I kind of feel like at some point, because the Lanterns trailer just came out, I was guessing that maybe we would see Parallax at some point, which I don't know anything about Green Lantern. Okay, I don't. But um, when I saw that Sinestro was in the trailer, I thought, oh well, there it is. Like Parallax is probably close by, getting ready to possess Hal. Like I think we saw Parallax in Severance a little bit, and I think we saw Parallax in the Burrows. So I think there's going to be a massive event happening. We just don't know about it yet. But I want to go over these images that I found in the book because sorry, there's someone mowing my lawn outside, and I don't know if it's the maintenance man or the other guy. But I just want to go over these pictures and everything. And I do want to say I'm going to make a giant connection to Fargo. And I tried to film this 2 days ago, but when I saw this image, again, because I already went through the book, I've been through the book like 2 or 3 times, okay? But when I realized that the ship was right above Finn's head, which we've seen this ship for 5 seasons, right? Well, that's the Fargo ship, okay? That's the freaking storytelling. This is a true. Oh, it's so tiny because it's just a sticker, but you get the idea. So this ship is in the Fargo series. I don't know if it's in every series, but it's in the movie. It's in the original movie. I know it's in season 2. Um, but Fargo, the TV series, people have been trying to crack for years, okay? Well, I'm here to tell you, I think that especially season 3 is cybersecurity related, but every single season follows the same pattern where like they're telling a story, but the story is overlaid on actual historical events, which I mean that's how you tell a story, right? That's how you make shit up. And my flabbers are gasted, okay? Because the amount of like historical storytelling that's going on, uh, like in season 2 of Fargo, and I'm sorry I'm yapping about Fargo. I probably got you guys in with the Stranger Things book, but Stra- Fargo season 2, you see the Gerhardt family who loves their German heritage. They left Germany after World War One, I think, and if it wasn't, yeah, it was. I think it was after World War One, between World War One and World War Two. But the season takes place in 1979. But what we're actually seeing on screen is the dissolution of Germany and like the dissection of Germany after World War Two. And every single season is like this. I'm not joking. Like season 5 is about the Baltic states gaining their freedom or Poland gaining their freedom. And so I'm going to go over all that in like this future video series. It's just a lot of information and I'm not sure how to like present it to people yet. But the main idea is the only thing that makes sense in this situation is that some form of Ultron, and I'm about to make the connection that this is a Marvel property, but some form of Ultron probably got imbued with, some dark magic, like some Cthulhu magic, because that's what we keep seeing is the elder gods across these stories. And that form of Ultron is basically trying to consume all of these stories and try to trap people in these loops that they don't want to be in. And it's so clever and so amazing. And it's interesting from a media analysis standpoint because I started realizing something was weird when I rewatched Mission Impossible Dead and Final Reckoning again. And I'm here to tell you that man did not escape that contraption in Final Reckoning. I think he's still in it. And the whole submarine sequence, at least in Final Reckoning, was all like a Matrix digital simulation. So I don't know what's going on. We'll talk about that too, but I'm sorry I'm yapping. Let's get back to this book. But I want to point this out. I came across this article yesterday from Screen Rant talking about a newer story that came out, and I'm not up with the comics lingo, like I used to be. But stories are just something that can be eaten by an AI. Marvel lashes out at AI content with a mind blowing X-Men twist. Like, what? Are you serious? So, and then it goes on to talk about the X-Men has been battling AI. They're in the Enigma, or with the Enigma Dominion. And so I think all these mutants are just getting, like, eaten up. And then, like, in Fargo's season 1, they tell you that an evil existed in 1979. Like, it started in 1979. And I think that's when Ultron was originally made by Hank Pym. I'm not really too sure. But, like, in the background of all these shows, you keep seeing the letter E, and I think you can see the letter X, but, that might just be me. So this is, I think, Mother Righteous is what she's called. She says stories are just something that can be eaten by an AI to make it more powerful. The only good story is a story that has been entirely and totally consumed and exploited. Well, what does that sound like? And then, let's see. Yeah, so Nathaniel Essex, which is Mr. Sinister, and the Apex AI Predator. So, I mean, they're battling the death of imagination. And just reading this article today, I was like, thank you. But I like that this was interesting too because it says, before it was revealed in Immortal X-Men number 18, the identity of Enigma was originally speculated to be a representation of Disney itself. Well, that's interesting because people in the Conformity Gate circles, there's a lot of Disney hints. And, I mean, Disney has so many stories, right? So, I think that's what they're probably getting at as well. And it says, but it's clear now the X-Men are battling against something less concrete than the House of Mouse. Well, it seems given that the Mere Mutants will inevitably succeed against their artificial adversary, maybe, especially because Doomsday, I don't trust the Doomsday movie at all. I think that's all Ultron. With any luck, they'll be just as successful as Marvel Comics. Otherwise, Enigma Dominion will have been more prescient than anyone realized. So, great. Okay, this freaking ship. I tried to record this video 2 days ago, and so I already went through the book, like I said, but put my notes down, my little post-it notes, which I took a picture of. But I saw this ship, and I started laughing, and then I started cussing, because it's like, they're telling us that this is a story to be consumed, because it's just like Fargo. And what's interesting is the Doomsday trailer that's come out, because I think Loki is trying to fix things in like a meta level. And listen, I'm all in on this, and I don't usually talk about Marvel stuff because I don't really understand. Like, I'm too old now, I guess. But like that the whole Doomsday situation, it just, there's something off about it, and I don't think it's Doom. I think it's Ultron and some Cthulhu god, if I'm even saying that right. So this just made me laugh because everyone knows that's the Fargo ship. Next, let's see what we got now. So I don't know if these are actually in order, but it's fine. And I'm not going through the whole book, so don't get mad at me if I don't talk about certain pages. It's just I'm pointing out things that's very odd, writing wise. So this in particular, this section, I'm a I don't want to call myself a historian, but I read a lot of history, and this whole section is just odd. So they talk about the Red Scare, and they talk about the Red Scare being at its height in the 1950s, which is fine. Okay, that's McCarthyism. That's Joseph McCarthy acting like a fool, trying to yap, and then that one radio host just tore him apart. That was like the best thing ever. See, I told you I'm not really a historian, but I know what things are. Um, Fears about the prospect of deadly nuclear conflict between the adversarial superpowers fueled Hollywood projects, including the 1983 movie The Day After. So it talks about going from the 50s to the 80s. In the 80s, we had a different situation. Ronald Reagan, like, as much of a demon he was, unlike Donald Trump, Reagan had a good, and I'm biased, but Reagan had a really good, like, military not adversaries, military board, I guess, especially with the Navy. And whoever was running his, like, propaganda, to be, like, that was put out, so he was doing all kinds of propaganda. He was doing war games, like, in the ocean. He was doing, fighter jet stuff, Able Archer. He that thing on the hot mic. If you guys have never seen Ronald Reagan on the hot mic going, "Oh, I hope the Soviets, we're gonna blow up the Soviets," or whatever he said. But like, he was like, "Oh, it's a hot mic," and it's like, no, you guys freaking planned that probably. So anyway, what I'm saying is, in the 50s, there was like basically a hunt for people that were apparently communist, which is just it's so stupid. And then in the 80s, you didn't really have McCarthyism, but you had Ronald Reagan just like war hawking every second that he could. So, but then this mentions the Venona Project, which ran from the 40s to the 80s. And my big theory is that Vecna was actually whatever, like, algorithm programmed Vecna, or yeah, he was based off the Venona Project. And it's possible because the word no is highlighted throughout Fargo and Stranger Things, with Elle telling Henry no. And I wonder if, Dr. Owen said she's the counter to whatever's coming to Hawkins. I wonder if she was built off that programming as well, or she was like her programming originally was meant to stop Vecna, because maybe that's what it is. Maybe the C in Vecna means communist. I don't know. I have no idea. So anyway, here's I think Alexei, and then there's this, and then there's another picture right next to this. This is what I found interesting about this one. So here's the lab with the tear in it, which straight up just looks like the Berlin Wall when it was falling. The ICBM tunnel, and then we've got Henry, although is that really Henry? I don't know. Could just be someone with a mask on or someone else. But this little snippet here goes over MK Ultra, adds in 11, funnily enough. And it lists off poet Allen Ginsberg, Ken Kesey, who wrote, oh my god, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and terrorist Ted Kaczynski. So people were making allusions to Hopper looking like Ted Kaczynski in season 5. And it just seems like everyone was assigned a part. Like, Murray is obviously Ginsberg, right? And then, like, the whole Ken Kesey thing, with the LSD, like, you can attribute that to what we see in the lab and everything. So, is this whatever version of Ultron just infecting some kind of weird story? I don't know. I do find this fascinating too. So in the back of the book, there's a what you call it, an index, I guess, or like a citation page. And this section right here, this is, I guess, like they cited the CIA for that one. So anyway, let's go this way. Yeah, it's the same page. Over here, it was funny, I was going through this the other day when I was filming it, and I'm like, I think that's the building where the Venona Project was with the army, because that's where their cryptologic room is. And then up here you have a picture of the Venona Project. Here, there's a book called Michelle Remembers about West Memphis, but it's just interesting that it says Michelle Remembers, because, God, that picture of Henry is so weird. Here's a better picture of the newspaper clipping, and then up here it talks about Fort Hero, which I'm like 90% sure that's where Captain America and everyone was. So, and that's also, interestingly, as I've said 20 times now, that's where Arnim Zola, the algorithm was. So it could be Arnim Zola mixing with someone. I don't know. Girl, I don't know. Okay, we've got Bob the Brain, Bob Newby, superhero. He's dressed like a nerd. We love him. I think he was probably a spook in maybe the 50s or 60s. I don't know. But there's a lot of allusions to the classic Wizard program as well, and like Ultron would know about that. This just goes on to say, basically again, his story. And it's interesting because this book doesn't address people by their actor name. They do occasionally, but for the most part it's Bob Newby, because it's a story. It's a story, which also plays into the themes for Hunt for Red October, as far as it all this just being like a sleight of hand, as like something else is going on, be it a war game or some kind of therapy program. Because the plot to Red October is featured in season 3, part of season 4, and then season 5, but it's quoted in every single season. So, um, oh, I found this interesting too because they point out that the Russian assassin's actually Ukrainian born, and like I knew that, but there's been a lot of allusions to like sandworms or like the Beetlejuice worms across different properties, and so I just wonder if like because sandworm was the hacking thing that was very involved against Russia when they were hitting Ukraine. I just wonder if like we'll get something one day about, not that we'll get these characters, but some other story about that hacking thing. Let's see. This page, this was the most interesting part on here. The military surplus, leftovers from the Vietnam War. Whoops. Because I think people have kind of put together that probably Hopper was in the Vietnam War. Maybe Steve is from World War II. I don't know, because he was talking about his grandfather's uh, time in World War II. So I don't know. It's just interesting wording there. This is also interesting syntax from Dustin. This is talking about the mall. It says there's a brand new mall and it's awesome. It's called Starcourt. Why wouldn't he just say Starcourt is a new mall and it's awesome? So this is why I'm getting so mad at this, because every day it's something new. Like, why can't we be normal about this? I don't understand. See, and then there's the tunnel. Like maybe they're getting miniaturized. I don't freaking know, you guys. I mean, I do think that they're miniaturized. That's a whole other thing. Like, I have a whole album of people looking like little miniatures. Let's see. Okay, this is where I went, wait a minute. So they talk about the Cold War tensions, okay, during the mid-'80s, which, fact check, true, under the Ronald Reagan administration. And it actually, there's a show on Netflix called Turning Point: The Bomb, and there's an episode about the 80s. I think the thumbnail is fighter jets, but that's what my dad was doing. So that was interesting to watch. Afterwards, I was just like, because I already knew about like Able Archer and all that because it's in the vernacular. But like after watching all those games and stuff, like I just turned to look at the invisible camera next to me, like, why, why are we doing this? Also, this picture up here is interesting. So AI can't do hands, and there's a lot of pictures. Actually, I don't know if you can see it because this thing's in the way. But sometimes the fingers will like blend into themselves. It's real weird. Okay, these two pages are across from each other. On one side you have blue, okay, and there's two, oddly enough, I mean it's not odd, but they showcase Carrie Yules, right? Because he's the mayor, and then he's also in Princess Bride. Well, he's also in a bunch of other movies, but he was in Dead Reckoning recently, and I don't know if he was in Final Reckoning because I think he died. But he was like salivating over an algorithm in Dead Reckoning, and so it just gives me pause. But anyway, all this is blue, okay? And then we flip to this page, it's all red, which again, the blue and red, which to me is just screams war game. And so you're gonna put like all the alien stuff in Red Dawn on the red page. So I'm assuming we can make the assumption in the leap here that this is some type of war game, or it was a war game and it was reprogrammed into what it is today. I don't know. I don't freaking know. That's what makes sense to me. Um, this is about shooting locations. We've got Argyle and I guess his stunt guy, but they look exactly the same, so that was kind of weird. We've got this, which looks exactly like Westworld and Pluribus. Which, I mean, come on. Pluribus, like, it's literally Ultron's virus. This scene always freaked me out because you got Murray Allen Ginsberg with his two thumb hand, or whatever's going on there, looking directly at us. And you got Joyce with her little mind flare fingers. Long AI fingers. I can't take it. There's a section in the book where Hopper's holding Sarah, and in the show he does a quote or it is a monologue, and that monologue is made up of like a couple movies. I don't want to say 2 or 3. I know there's at least 2 off the top of my head, but Hunt for Red October is one of them, again. And he said, "The minute I sent for Joyce, I sentenced her to death." Well, in Red October, Captain Ramus is like, "I widowed her the day that I met her." So, great. But I like this page. It's really, the next page is fucked up. See, it's like distorted a little bit. And like, it kind of looks like Hopper, but it really doesn't. And this is just him, this is just his whole Kamchatka, like, quote thing. Here they are standing like freaking mannequins again. It's just, I'm just fascinated by this stuff. Let's see, that might be it. Yeah, that's it. So, basically, what did we talk about today? This is some rogue AI, which is what I thought. I'm sure we'll eventually find out Ultron is behind this somehow, because he got corrupted by some kind of like chaos magic or whatever. And then I guess another day I'll go over all the miniatures and stuff. And actually, did I even talk about that? Because I got distracted. I'm sorry. Let's go back here. Where is it? Oh, okay, here it is. Yeah, I did get distracted because I started thinking about war games. So, they're talking about the 80s, okay? They talk about in season 3 they were engaging in tradecraft, attempting to break codes and bust conspiracies to gain a better understanding of the Red Menace on the loose in Hawkins. Girl, what are you talking about? That word has not been in the vernacular for 30 years at that point. What do you mean, Red Menace? Who's the Red Menace? What is the Red Menace? Because it's not the Russians. And that's another thing, is I don't think the Russians that we saw are actually Russians. They're either East German, or they're just us, or it's whatever AI thing. But Red Menace, how about, like, I don't know, Soviet detractors or something? I don't know. This is what I'm telling you. These words piss me off. But I think that's it. I gotta go lay the heck down before my spine falls out. But I'll come back another day and we'll talk about how all these shows... Oh, wait. I do have something else. I do have one more thing. Hold on. Let me go back. Because we talked about Fargo, okay? I want to point this out. Oh, excuse me. Um, so this is from the Fargo book, which is kind of the same. It's the same size and everything as the Stranger Things book. Um, this is the fashion that was in the show. Yuri is a Cossack who we're told in season 3 souls get attached to new bodies occasionally. Old souls will get attached to new bodies, which I think is why I've also been seeing like war game patterns or like revolutionary patterns, like in Severance. It's borderlining on the Polish solidarity movement, and Fargo touches on the solidarity movement a little bit as well. But he said, and Noah Hawley, the writer of Fargo, says, "What if we dress Yuri mostly in a sporty stuff like a baseball jacket? You know, the things that you'd think Americans would wear if you were coming from Eastern Europe with no idea of how Americans dress." Well, what if you're an elder god who's using chaos magic or something, and you're now like attached to an AI, and you're invading all these digital worlds and these stories and everything, but you need to look like a normal human. So like in Disclosure Day, it's the same kind of jacket he's got on, and the jacket in Disclosure Day is similar. Actually, Yuri's jacket too is similar to what Will's wearing in season 5, just like a Letterman jacket. So I don't know, just something to think about, because all these shows are connected. All these shows are trying to tell you, hey, AI is going to take away creativity. It's just going to gobble it the heck up. And it's going to be eaten by an AI. So, and the fact that they did this and they're owned by Disney is kind of crazy. But I mean, if you're going to have a boogeyman, I guess. So, that's all. Goodbye.